Vale, este es el chico que me han mandado por todos los sitios que nos reaccione porque es un tío que mueve como 300 en banca o algo así. Tiene 17 años, ¿no?
Shocking. His blood work is so bad that it makes Togi look like an angel.
Su analítica sale que hace que Togi parezca un ángel.
I've never seen anything this bad. I've seen a lot of blood work.
Nunca he visto algo, pues para que el Greg se asuste.
17-year-old kid who has about a 50-50 chance of surviving
que tiene 50-50 posibilidades de sobrevivir
because he's abusing steroids. Don't ask me where his parents are, but not only that, this guy lies about being a fake natty. He brags about the fact that he's natural, and he lies about how much the kid can bench press. And so we have so many things going on. We're going to unpack all of it. The first things first. You probably know this guy from having bench pressed with Larry Wheels. Bench pressed, I believe it was 815 pounds. But remember, this is with some FH slingshot bench press device, which is basically like having a spotter. And so he isn't really pressing that weight.
A mí todo lo que hagan con el slingshot pierde totalmente el sentido porque el slingshot este te hace levantar como 80 kilos más, ¿sabes? De lo que puedes levantar. Entonces, bueno, yo de esto me creo poco y nada.
Add to that, he literally uses fake plates.
You're probably willing to lie about the weight that you're pressing on the bar.
Probablemente te descuento de forma de presionar
It's
la
why the
barra.
420 kilo bench that you posted the other week
Por eso que el banco de 420 kilos
has two bumper
publicaste
plates
tiene dos
for
discos.
some reason before the last plate, and you've hid the two bumpers behind the last plate.
Real plates, bunch of real plates.
El chico que estaba hablando, este chico, es probablemente a día de hoy uno de los mejores, por no decir, bueno, será seguramente de los 3 mejores levantadores de pre-banca del mundo, ¿eh? El otro que ha salido, no este. Está diciendo que ha fakeado los discos.
Are his parents morons? I am quite certain that they are. What is wrong with you?
Con 17 años, ¿sabes?
Oh, I believe my kid's natural? Are you kidding me?
Yo no sé los padres que están haciendo de los dioses, ¿eh?
Un momento, te vengo a decir y recordar rápido que la mejor proteína del mercado, la hidrolizada por The Profits, tiene un descuento increíble si lo usas con mi código de descuento Antonio G. Proteína, creatina, todo lo que se te ocurra en suplementación deportiva y más. Así que ya sabes el código que tienes que usar para ponerte fuerte. ¡Vamos!
Tell the kid, look, I watch Coach Greg. There's no freaking way that you're natural, and we're going to get your blood work done. We're going to the doctor. Mom, you need to believe me, I'm natural. Yeah, well, Coach Greg said if you're actually natural, that it's a compliment. We're going right now. And then upon seeing his blood work, the parents would have been 1,000% certain that he's not natural and very likely going to die shortly. His blood work is so bad that it makes Togi look like an angel. 600 milligrams of tren injected the day before
600 miligramos de trembolona.
going to work out with Larry Wheels.
Antes de ir... ¿Cómo? ¿Que se metió 600 de trembolona el día antes de ir a entrenar con Larry Wheels?
600 milligrams. I, at my most abusive levels of steroids, could not handle 600 milligrams. And on top of that...
Hermano, 600 miligramos de trembolona. Lo raro es que no le haya pegado el chungo ese que te pega cuando tomas más de la cuenta de trembolona. Y ya te digo yo que eso es más de la cuenta.
That he's using ment. What is wrong
De golpe, 600 miligramos de golpe. Eso es una salvajada.
with this kid? And what is...
Digamos que es 3 veces más de la dosis que... O sea, la gente normalmente toma 1, ¿vale? Que son 200 de trembolona. Y lo toman una vez a la semana, 2 veces a la semana. Pues él ha cogido de golpe el mismo día y se ha tomado, digamos, 3. Bueno, es que creo que la trembolona ni siquiera se mide por 200. Es que creo que la trembolona se mide por 150 o 100 unidades. Es que no me acuerdo, tío. O sea, ha tomado una locura de golpe. Una puta locura.
What is wrong with Young LA sponsoring this lie?
Yo no sé qué le pasa a John LA patrocinando a gente que de verdad que deporte poco, ¿eh?
That we want to have for our youth?
So if you watched last night's video, you'll know I did a video on Logan Dish on a 17-year-old that's been lying about using gear. Here's an update on just from last night. Logan is in the hospital.
Anda, que está en el hospital ingresado.
So what exactly is going on? Well, right now, he's in the hospital. Lucky to be alive, but may not be for very long.
Due to a condition and or infection, bacterial infection called pyomyositis. I think that's how you
Una infección bacteriana llamada piomitis.
say it.
And so he has pyomyositis, a staph infection. And
Una infección bacteriana.
this occurs in the muscles from injecting
Y esto ocurre en los músculos a partir de la inyección de sustancias.
substances. It could be from dirty needles, from the
Esto puede ser por usar agujas
oil
sucias
not being proper,
o por el aceite que sea bueno o malo.
but it comes from using steroids. And so if you use a
También por el uso de esteroides.
non-sterile technique, you don't inject properly, safely, even
Buah, es que yo he conocido a gente que reutiliza las jeringuillas hasta 3 y 4 veces, ¿sabes? Que es para matarlos, ¿eh? Que es para matarlos. Y luego te vienen y te dicen, es que me ha salido un bulto. Hostia, un bulto. Lo que no sé cómo no te ha salido un gremlin de ahí, cabrón.
Real danger. Your chance of surviving when you're young and healthy, it's much greater than when you're old
17 años, 140 kilos de peso corporal. No puede ser.
and unhealthy. Unfortunately, he's got the young part, but he's not even close to being healthy. I actually have his blood work. It's horrendous.
Venga, enséñanos la analítica.
Shocking. Way worse than I've ever had, and I've used steroids for over 10 years. Think of just how bad that really is.
Apparently his heart stopped working. He was on life support for his heart.
Su corazón dejó de funcionar, está diciendo.
I'm not sure if he still is.
And so it's so bad that he literally states that his heart stopped working. It stopped. He required vasopressors and life support, a metal ventilating machine to pump
Con 17 años.
blood throughout his body. And he jokes about this. With something this serious, you wouldn't think they'd be joking about it. I mean, the guy could die, and we actually calculated the percentage chance of him dying, and it's roughly 41.9%. You can program in his blood markers and so on, what's going on, why he went there. 42%
Madre mía, este tío no llega a los 20, ¿eh?
chance
Así no llega a los 20.
of dying. For what? To cheat about bench press?
Pero es que estos juguetes rotos va a haber un montón. Después de los subnormales como el Togi y gente que idolatran a todo lo que hace Togi y todo este, bueno, y todos los embusteros de la química y todo esto, van a salir un montón. ¿Por qué? Porque creen que a través de la química van a llegar a la fama y al dinero. Lo que van a hacer es verdaderas salvajadas.
And to lie, to pretend that you're stronger than you are, to take off 50 years of your life. Was it really worth it just to go and bench press with Larry Wheels? To get a Young LA sponsorship? What is wrong with his parents? I don't.
Pero también lo entiendo, viendo que John LA te patrocina. Si haces mucho ruido y tal, aunque cojas y te metas, yo qué sé, carretera en el oído, alquitrán en el oído, pues normal.
Get it. How can you be a parent and not do the one thing that you're supposed to do? To take care of your kids and get them till they're at least 18 years of age. And if he does survive, how many of you think he's going to stop steroids? I don't believe for 1 second that this guy is going to learn anything. And so what his parents need to do is not let him out of his sight. You aren't going to the gym. Sorry. Unless I'm there with you, it ain't happening. You're grounded. You don't have permission. You don't have any money. You're not going to inject steroids. None of this. It's over. In Young LA, you're...
No, y seguramente sean los padres los que financian a la criatura. O sea, imagínate tus padres dándote dinero para que tomes química, tío. Para que tomes esteroides. Es que es loquísimo, ¿eh?
Gone. Social media, out. You're not posting nada. What do you think of that? Oh, I don't like it, Dad. I'm not doing it. Tough. It's your job as a parent. And so Young LA, you needs to give them the boot. Right now. Not, oh, we stand behind our athlete. You stand behind cheaters, liars, guys who are a horrible influence to the world. And so I found a photo of him back in the day, not Logan Dishman. Had fun meeting y'all at the Arnolds. I was the smallest there. Post a photo with Togi. And so... do you understand why I say that Togi is perhaps the worst influencer in the world in terms of using performance-enhancing drugs? This kid, perhaps he looked up to Togi. Oh, you know, he's my hero, he's my idol.
Pero es normal. Hay mucha gente que admira a Togi. A través del uso de química, ha llegado a la fama y al dinero. Yo lo entiendo que el subnormal este sea idolatrado. Porque la gente joven es lo que quiere, fama y dinero como sea.
He takes all these drugs, he survives, and what's going to happen to him next? We don't know. And so let's go over his blood work. Lipid panel with reflex to direct LDL. Every single marker is out of range. All of them. Cholesterol HDL ratio, 28.8. It's supposed to be below 5. Non-HDL cholesterol, 278. Supposed to be under 120. Triglycerides, 372. Supposed to be below 90. Cholesterol.
Hermano, que tiene los triglicéridos 4 veces más alto. No, 4 veces no. Sí, más de casi 5 veces más alto de lo que debería de tenerlo. El colesterol a el doble. Dios.
288, supposed to be under 170. HDL cholesterol, 10. Supposed to be over 48. 10.
Hostia, el colesterol bajo. No veas, esto sí que no lo he visto en mi vida.
LDL
Dios, que lo mínimo 45 y la tienen 10.
cholesterol, supposed to be under 110, 215. And testosterone, oh, it's 251. That's actually in the reference range. It's kind of low. He's probably natural, right? I mean, his testosterone testosterone levels are normal, and so
Que la testosterona tiene niveles normales. ¿Qué coño?
kind of low. He's probably natural, right? I mean, his testosterone levels are normal. And so if he had just showed his testosterone, you say, hey guys, I think I need HRT. You know, my testosterone's not doing very good. Do you understand? If you take trenbolone and ment, it's not going to cause your testosterone to go up. It doesn't do that. It actually brings it down. Sex hormone binding globulin. 5.2. I've never had it that low. When you take steroids, orals,
Vale.
injectables, whatever, it causes the SHBG to go down. It's down. Very, very low.
Vale, que esto va de orales. Vale, ahora lo entiendo. Y eso hace que te baje. Vale.
And so when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, this is one of the worst blood works I've ever seen in my
Hermano, si este tío es natural, yo soy keniata. Keniata y maratoniano.
life, and he's 17 years of age. And so clearly, he has extremely poor cardiovascular health. What does that mean? Why is that important? Well, if you're healthy, if your cardiovascular system is in order, you have a much greater chance of surviving sepsis. When you go to the doctor, to the hospital, to the emergency room, and you're a healthy young individual, they can do all kinds of medical treatments on you, and your chances of survival are excellent. Imagine being 17 years of age and being in worse cardiovascular health than most 90-year-olds. I mean, you're thinking,
Tiene la capacidad, cardiovascular, ha dicho, peor que un hombre de 90 años teniendo 17. Lo de los triglicéridos es una pasada, ¿eh?
triglycerides are so bad, he most likely has hypertriglyceridemia. It's horrendous. I mean,
Que tenga hipertrigliceridemia.
I've never seen anything this bad. I've seen a lot of blood work. And so what does that tell you? Just because you're young and you think it's cool, I'm going to blast steroids, nothing could come bad of it. I mean, if he hadn't...
O sea, pensad que en la conversación de aquí, no hemos visto antes la conversación que ha puesto, era de él diciendo que se le había parado el corazón, ¿eh? Aquí, mi corazón se ha parado, ¿no? Espérate.
And so what does that tell you? Just because you're young and you think it's cool, I'm going to blast steroids,
Se va a morir, ¿no?
nothing could come bad of it. I mean, if he hadn't done this poor injection, remember, this blood work is from a couple months ago. If he hadn't had sepsis, if he hadn't done this infection, his cardiovascular health, it would have continued to fall. I mean, does anyone remember Boston Lloyd? He's no longer with us. That's all I need to say. He's no longer with us. He's worse than Boston Lloyd. And so hypertriglyceridemia, which is fatty blood, it essentially happens when you're diabetic. And so he's either diabetic or pre-diabetic to have these results. He's 17. How many
Tío, puede ser prediabetes según sus resultados.
times do I have to say this? 17 years of age. Diabetes, as well as obesity, those of you who think, oh, body positivity, it's okay to be 400 pounds. These are one of the leading causes of people dying when they go in for treatment. If you're diabetic and you're obese, and something goes wrong inside your body, your chances of survival, they're very slim. Essentially, you become immunocompromised, your kidney function, it goes down, and you have a much greater chance of forming a clot. And you know what happens when you get a clot? Heart attack and or a stroke, and potentially you die. With triglycerides as high as he has, it's very likely he has liver
Es que fíjate los niveles de triglicéridos, ¿eh? En 372 y tenía que estar en menos de 90, tío.
fibrosis or cirrhosis. You've probably heard of this. Cirrhosis
Tenga fibrosis hepática o cirrosis.
of the liver. This is not good. And so most likely he's hooked up to an
Con 17 años.
ECMO machine, which is like an external heart that helps to pump the blood throughout the body. Imagine being 17 years of age in a hospital and requiring an external heart and thinking, oh, this is just fun and games. Oh, I might die.
Así a los 30, no, pero llega a los 20, hermano. A los 30 dice, se me va a pegar. Así, está siendo bastante generoso.
My heart stop, whatever. I'm going to get back to the gym, pump up on some pre-workouts.
Hermano, dice, yo creo que ha alterado uno por aquí. Yo creo que ha alterado los valores, no tiene sentido. Que está hospitalizado, que se le ha parado el corazón. ¿Qué más quiere?
Perhaps I'll blast
¿Qué más quiere, Giovanni?
some trend yet again.
And if you're someone that knows Logan and has known he's been running gear for a long time and you've just allowed him to continue like doing this without at least giving him some form of guidance, shame on you.
That's essentially whoever sold him the products or gave it to them, or his parents. I blame more so the parents, more than anyone here.
Hombre, yo culpo a los padres también, porque es menor. Claro, es así.
My opinion, this is child abuse. If you let your kids do things that can literally end them, well, that's on you. I mean, let's say this kid was in hospital for getting drunk on alcohol every single day for 6 months. Drinking a quart a day. This is exactly equivalent to what he's doing. And so someone says this about
Claro, es lo mismo. Dice que 6 meses tomando todos los días 1 litro de alcohol es la misma irresponsabilidad para los padres que...
a big boy Blake who's making a video to encourage 17-year-olds to not abuse steroids. Aren't you running gear yourself? Yes, and he admits it. But do you not think there's a difference between a man in their 30s abusing steroids and a 17-year-old who's living with their parents? The brain
Hombre, claro que hay una diferencia grande entre un hombre de 30 años y un chico de 17, ¿no? A la hora de usar química.
isn't even finished developing until you're 25. There's a huge difference between this. If a 35-year-old grown-up says, hey, you're 17, you shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Oh, but you drink alcohol. They're 17. Greg Doucette video incoming. Of course, I had so many requests for this. And so, of course, I'm going to do a video. Anything I can do to discourage the use of steroids amongst teenagers, I'm going to do it. Jesus, he's only 17. His heart is going to have long-term damage. The damage has been done. Even if he hadn't injected with those dirty needles and so on, whatever he did,
No, claro, el daño ya está hecho. No es solo por la aguja. La aguja le ha hecho que tenga una infección y ya está.
the damage was already there. You
Claro,
can't just
que está reventado es que esa parte.
do all of the things you think you can do, live your life to the fullest, and think there will be no price to pay whatsoever. Stop being jealous. You can't bench this weight.
Le estás diciendo al Big Boy, que es un monstruo de la banca, está celoso porque no puede levantar ese peso en banca. Típico de niñato eso, ¿eh?
For anyone to think that this is about the strongest bench presser in the world being jealous of a 17-year-old who's lying about how much he can lift and pretending to
Claro, es que el chico este encima miente en todo, porque no se le ha visto una banca clara en ningún momento.
be natural, who's literally
Claro, es que el niñato este miente con que es natural, miente con los pesos, miente con todo.
50-50 chance of survival, they are moronic. When you're on 600 milligrams of tren and ment, you're not a teenager. Your body has perhaps 10 or 100 times more androgens than a normal adult male. And so just because his age is young, it doesn't mean that his body is young anymore. He's living on borrowed time. He's borrowing his future goals, his future progression, in order to reap the glory right now. And the problem is, you all love it. He gets glorified, aka Young LA sponsorship. He has over 50,000 followers on Instagram. All the comments are, you're so strong, you're so cool, you're so amazing. I can't believe how strong you are at 17. And so what do you think happens? Well, other kids who are 15 think, I want to be like him.
Claro.
And so they use
Claro, es un ejemplo de mierda para los niños.
steroids even younger. Then the 16-year-old does it, then the 15, then the 14, then the 13, the 12, and it keeps going. Pretty soon we're going to have 8-year-olds on steroids trying to keep up with the Joneses. It has to stop.
La que se viene en unos años, tipo, con la química de los niños jóvenes.
Kid out there who perhaps is very, very strong, 17. I remember when I was 17, I was the strongest kid that I knew. I didn't know anyone as strong as me. I bench pressed 293 pounds. I weighed 144. If I had social media back then, and I would have compared myself to the strongest men in the world, Logan, and he would have said 100% natural, bench press is 1,000. I would have thought, well, why even bother? Or maybe I would have thought, you know what? I need to take steroids. I thought I was good. I thought I had a strong self-esteem, but in comparison to everyone else, I'm actually a weakling. I ain't very impressive. I'm glad I was born in the 70s. Didn't have social media.
A mí, yo sé qué pasa con los... estos levantadores ahora que hay en TikTok, no me creo en ninguno, tío. Si tú tienes más de 300 en banca teniendo 17 años, compites y te haces el amo del mundo. Tiene 17... Bueno, tenga 17... Con 17 o con 40. Tienes 300 kilos en banca, compite y te haces el amo del mundo, hermano. No eres el amo de TikTok, la verdad. Por eso son todos unos vendedores, unos vendehumos, mentirosos todos.
Didn't have to compare myself to these people. Compared myself to my friends, my classmates, people at the school in the city, and so on. And when I traveled to do a bench press competition, I compared myself to perhaps the strongest people in the province or maybe in the country. But I didn't have to compare myself to lying cheaters around the world. And I have to level with you. I don't know how much pressure kids are to keep up with everyone else. to fit in. They see their role models, started with Chris Bumstead and Sam Sulek, and the list goes on and on. Perhaps it's the Trend Twins. Perhaps it's Togi, but it's there in social media. And they want to stand out desperately, and they don't care what the cost is, the price. I don't care. When I was a kid, we used to be told, hey, if you could swallow this pill and it would take 10 years off your life and you could win a gold medal, would you do it? And almost everyone said yes. That was the only comparison that we had.
Buah, pero esto, Greg, esto lo decíamos todos, ¿eh? Yo con 24 años también decía que si alguien me daba la receta o una pastilla que me quitara 10 años de vida, pero que me hiciese campeón del mundo, y yo hace 10 años os diría que sí. A día de hoy os digo que no me quito ni un mes de vida. Esto nos ha pasado a todos, ¿eh? A todos los inconscientes.
If you could take this pill, or how about this? If you inject this and swallow this, you'll be one of the best bench pressers in the world. You'll get a Young LA sponsorship. You'll bench press with Larry Wheels. You'll be famous. People are lining up for this. Where are the parents? You're supposed to be looking after your kids. These are kids. They are children. He is a child.
Los padres tienen que ser unos reventados que flipas.
He doesn't know any better. And so we can't just hate on Logan. He's a product of his environment. He's been socialized to do this. But the parents, they know better. And so it's your job to find out. Now, the kids, they're going to work out and find out regardless. And so why do you just live in denial? It's your responsibility to find out. Oh, if he dies, he deserves it. He doesn't deserve it. He's a kid. He's 17. He's experimenting. He's trying to look cool. But it's the parent's job. It's their job. What is the parent going to say? Hey, he's his own man. He does his own decisions. Not at 17. You're the man. You make the decisions. You tell him what he can and cannot do. That goes for everything. I don't care if they decide to have sex with someone when they're a kid. You are the role model. You set the standard. You teach them how to behave. There is not a single person hating in the comments that could get even close to doing this. Banned or not, that's a great achievement. It's not. This is the problem. We think it's
una salvajada, tío.
a great achievement. There isn't a single person
Es una salvajada dejar a un crío hacer eso.
hating him that could do this. There probably isn't a single person in the comment section using 600 milligrams of Tren and Ment, abusing orals, and who has a completely ripped apart body. Triglycerides, pre-diabetic, all the
Es que los orales son, de verdad, los orales hacen un daño brutal a nuestro cuerpo.
things. And so how is it impressive? A lot of 17-year-olds who abuse steroids and nearly die from abusing them could do this. So how is it impressive? What it is it's stupid. And it's also stupid that society embraces this, that we actually think that it's cool. Oh, he's only 17 and he did that. Imagine his potential. He's wasted his potential. Imagine had he been natural. Instead of trying to bench press 1,000 pounds, he bench pressed 293 like I did when I was 17. I think that's impressive while being natural. Why can't people be natural? Why do we have to borrow from our future in order to get the glory right now? Delayed gratification.
Pero esto es lo que hay, Greg. Pero esto no es nuevo, tío. Esto no es nuevo. No es nuevo que la gente joven quiera la gloria rápido.
Really hard now for the reaping the rewards in the future. Y'all need to watch more cartoons.
Ojalá todo el mundo fuera natural.
Remember the cartoon with the ants? And all summer long, the ant, he was working hard to make the shelter while all his ant friends were laying back on the beach, having a good time. Drinking, partying, having their snacks and so on. Hey, come and hang out with us. And he's thinking, winter's coming.
Winter is coming.
And so he kept working. Delayed gratification. They were all laying back, having fun. The dopamine was high, but he worked very hard. But sooner or later, it got cold. And what do you think happened? All the other ants were freezing. Bro was laying back in his renovated home, you know, the anthill and whatever. And all of a sudden, they're knocking at the door. And you know what he did? Bro let them in. I don't know if that was a good ending. They should have just froze to death, and then people could have learned, hey, if you don't do the shit now, you're for life. Damn! But he let them in, and so I don't know if the message was just lay back and let your friend do all the work, and then later on, you can reap those rewards.
Bueno, al fin y al cabo, total, que es un niñato que le va a costar la vida el hacer el subnormal.